to avoid.
This is not going to be a prolonged conflict. The objectives I've outlined to you, again, I repeat them, because I see these reports as like the U.S. is not clear on what objectives are. We've been as clear as you can possibly be from the very first night of what the objectives of this mission are. We're going to destroy their factories that make missiles and rockets and drones. We're going to destroy their Navy. We're going to destroy their Air Force. And we are going to significantly destroy their missile launchers so they can never hide behind these things to get a nuclear weapon. We are achieving all those objectives. We are ahead of schedule on most of them. And we can achieve them without any ground troops, without any. Now, in terms of why there's deployments, number one, the president has to be prepared for multiple contingencies, which I'm not going to discuss in the media. And again, I refer you to the Department of War, who will probably tell you the exact same thing. But we can achieve all of our objectives.
Marco Rubio just told you this war will not be prolonged, that America can achieve every objective without a single soldier setting foot on Iranian soil. He said it with complete confidence, surrounded by his G7 allies in France. Here's what he didn't say. The same week he made that statement, the Pentagon was quietly finalizing plans for ground raids on Kharg Island, the hub through which 90% of Iran's oil exports flow, and on coastal sites along the Strait of Hormuz. The 82nd Airborne and Marine Expeditionary units are already in the region. The Washington Post reported the plans. Defense analysts confirmed the force composition is consistent with a time-limited but genuinely dangerous ground operation. This is the fifth week of a war that began February 28th when U.S. and Israeli forces launched joint strikes on Iran. The Strait of Hormuz, through which 20% of the world's oil travels, has been effectively closed since day one. Oil prices are up more than 50%. Germany's defense minister called the war a catastrophe for global economies. And Rubio is at the G7, telling reporters everything is on or ahead of schedule. So who do you believe? The Secretary of State or the Pentagon's own war planners?
In their factories, and we're going to substantially, and I mean dramatically, reduce the number of missile launchers so that they cannot hide behind these things to build a nuclear weapon and threaten the world. As the Department of War has consistently outlined, we are on or ahead of schedule in that operation and expect to conclude it at the appropriate time here in a matter of weeks, not months, and the progress is going very well. Obviously, we have some work to do. We have to finish the job, and we are finishing that job. I did describe to our allies, however, that immediately after this thing ends, we're done with our objectives, one of the immediate challenges we're going to face is an Iran that may decide that they want to set up a tolling system in the Straits of Hormuz. Not only is this illegal, it's unacceptable, it's dangerous to the world, and it's important that the world have a plan to confront it. The United States is prepared to be a part of that plan. We don't have to lead that plan, but we're happy to be a part of it. But these countries have a lot at stake, not just the G7 countries, but countries in Asia and all over the world have a lot at stake and should contribute greatly to that effort to ensure that neither the Straits of Hormuz or frankly any international waterways should ever be something that's controlled or tolled by a nation state or by a terroristic government like the one that exists in Iran today in that radical clerical regime. So there seemed to be a lot of buy-in to that concept. There's a lot of work happening right now. The UK has played a prominent role in bringing that together, but other countries as well, and there seems to be a lot of acceptance of all that, and our allies and partners here, at least to me, seem to be appreciative of updates on our operation.
Notice what Rubio just did. In the same breath that he told you the war is nearly over, he introduced an entirely new military problem that doesn't exist yet. Iran potentially charging tolls on the Strait of Hormuz after the operation ends. He's preloading the justification for a Phase 2 before Phase 1 is finished. And that timeline keeps slipping. Trump originally said 4 to 6 weeks. Rubio told G7 ministers privately that it's now 2 to 4 more weeks on top of the 5 already spent. U.S. intelligence has confirmed only about 1/3 of Iran's missile arsenal has been verifiably destroyed. The strait is still closed. 150 freight ships are stalled. The IEA called this the biggest oil shock in recorded history. When Rubio says we are on or ahead of schedule, ask the obvious question: ahead of which schedule? The one Trump announced in February that's already expired, or the new timeline Rubio quietly handed to allied foreign ministers behind closed doors? The objectives sound clean when you list them. Destroy the factories, the Navy, the Air Force, the launchers. But the strait is still closed. Ships still can't move. And the Pentagon is drawing up ground plans anyway.
This is not going to be a prolonged conflict. The objectives I've outlined to you, again, I repeat them, because I see these reports as like the news is not clear on what objectives are. We've been as clear as you can possibly be from the very first night of what the objectives of this mission are. We're going to destroy their factories that make missiles and rockets and drones. We're going to destroy their Navy. We're going to destroy their Air Force. And we are going to significantly destroy their missile launchers so they can never hide behind these things to get a nuclear weapon. We are achieving all those objectives. We are ahead of schedule on most of them. And we can achieve them without any ground troops, without any. Now, in terms of why there's deployments, number one, the president has to be prepared for multiple contingencies, which I'm not going to discuss in the media. And again, I refer you to the Department of War, who will probably tell you the exact same thing. But we can achieve all of our objectives.
Here's the full picture. Marco Rubio told the world this week that America is winning. The timeline is weeks, not months, and ground troops aren't necessary. Simultaneously, the Pentagon was preparing raids on Kharg Island and Strait of Hormuz coastal sites. Trump was telling the Financial Times he wants to take the oil. Russia was sending upgraded Iranian drones back to Tehran, and Germany was publicly calling the whole operation a catastrophe. Rubio called Zelensky a liar for claiming security guarantees were tied to territorial withdrawal, then explained a version of the guarantee structure that achieves almost the same practical result. He dismissed G7 concerns about the war as things that never happen in front of him. He insisted the U.S. doesn't need allies for this operation, then spent 20 minutes explaining why those same allies absolutely need to build a maritime coalition to handle the aftermath. The pattern here is not incompetence. It's a communication strategy built on asserting certainty the facts don't support. Weeks, not months, even as the timeline extends. Ahead of schedule, even as intelligence confirms only a third of Iran's missiles are gone. No ground troops, even as the 82nd Airborne and Marine units stage in the Gulf. The Strait of Hormuz has been closed for 5 weeks. Oil is up 50%. Global fertilizer prices are up 50%. Asian markets are falling. And the administration's answer is, trust us, a couple more weeks. History has heard that before. The question is whether the American public and the world paying for this at the pump and the grocery store will keep accepting timeline updates with no accountability attached. Watch this space. Ask the hard questions. If this video gave you something to think about, share it, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you think the real endgame is here.
I don't have any news for you on that yet. It could happen at any moment. It could happen today. It could happen tomorrow. We're not predicting it. We're going to continue with our operation.
Signal that they're still serious in your own view.
Well, I mean, signal is they call you and say, these are the people that speak on our behalf now. This is what they're allowed to talk about, and this is when we're prepared to meet to talk further. That would be a signal. But in the meantime, we continue with our operation, a very successful operation. Every single day, Iran gets weaker and weaker. The Department of War is doing a tremendous job of weakening that regime and its ability to lash out against its neighbors and threaten the world.
Can I ask you about the European response to what was presented today in terms of...
Well, we had a good... I'm happy about... There seemed to be agreement in that room that we need to be ready to do something. I mean, I think...
But is it okay with you guys if they don't come in and do anything until after...
Well, we don't... No, hold on. We're not asking for anybody's help on this war. The president's been clear. We're not asking for anybody to join the war. We're not asking for anyone to get involved in the war. We're not asking for anyone to get involved in this operation. We're not asking for that. We're not asking any country. We don't need it. We're doing it. We're doing the job, and we're ahead of schedule. So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this. There are some in the Iranian regime that are going